Hey guys, we're here today to do a very quick overview of the rules of Mosaic so that you guys can teach it at Gen Con or wherever. Okay, let's get right to it. So in Mosaic, the player on their turn is going to be able to do one action that's represented on the board. There's many on the board and they can do one on their turn. They can either build a wonder, they can draft and build using a build card, and that's port cities, two types of towns: farm towns, manufactory towns, a research city or any kind of city that gets placed on the board, or a project that will let them score based on the number of these symbols that they have at the end of the game. So that's the build cards. You got wonders, build cards, work. Work lets the player produce goods based on how many population they have, plus whatever it is that they're producing. This is their production bonus on their player card, on their player board. So it's either stone, food, or ideas. Those are the three different currencies that are in the game, that every action or most actions have a cost in those currencies. And then you also have two ways to make money: tax or tariff. And that's going to be basically the tax or tariff card action that they take, plus their the bonus that's on their board. So this will track the production bonuses when you either work or you do a tax or tariff for money. The board, by the way, also will contain all of your trade goods. When you build a city or a town or a wonder on the board as a build action, you'll take the city miniature and you'll place it on a hex on the board. You can see on the board there are different regions: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 regions, and then there are hexes within each one. And on the hexes there are commodities, either one time, these brown commodities. There's 4 of these in each region, and those are called caches, and they just have a certain number of the commodities or the currencies. So in this case, you would take the city, place it there, get 10 stone, which would be 2 of these 5s, put it on your player board, and that's yours now, and that goes out of the game, so it's just discarded. On the other hand, if you chose to grab one of these trade goods, there's just different types, and they're not really that different from each other, other than you need unique ones on your player board. And you can see here they have 3 unique trade goods: food, horses, and oil. And those would be utilized in different ways in the game. Okay, so that's building your trade network. And again, you can place cities anywhere on the board when you place a city. If you build a town, there are 2 towns: the farm town or the manufactory towns. Those must be placed next to a city that you have, or a port city. And once you place them, again, you're going to get goodies. So the point of cities is that you're kind of expanding around the board. The point of towns is that you're building out the cities to also be able to grab some of these trade goods and or good caches. Okay, and then all the cards will show how to execute and what the advantages are for each of these cards. Some of them will have scoring. This little symbol here is a scoring symbol. So at the end of the game, this will score. So all the cards that will score will have this symbol on them. It's very easy to reference at the end of the game. And this guy will score 1 victory point for every one of these symbols at the end of the game. All right, the other actions very quickly. We talked about work. That's how you make the goodies, how do we make the currencies. Population, you're going to want to have population. Cities cost 2 population and 4 stone. So you need population to be able to build cities. You also will add your population to your productivity to manufacture and do the work. So you want more population. You're going to spend food and gain population. Okay, moving to technologies. You're going to spend 5 ideas to get any one of these technologies, and they all have certain symbols on them that you'll have once you own that card. But some of them will have these requirements, these prerequisites. If you don't already have the symbols in this area, you can still buy the card for 5 ideas, but you'll have to place it face down near you. But once you have these, you can, without using your whole turn these face up and activate them. So you can always buy these, but sometimes you can't play them until you own those symbols. Tax and tariff, we talked about a minute ago. You can basically take that card on your turn, and you'll get money equal to this little formula down here, but then you'll also get unrest. And unrest is basically negative points at the end of the game. There are ways to offset that with wonders or technologies or other ways, but if you don't, that'll be negative points at the end of the game. Okay, This holding area will get money every time a city or port is built. Every time a city is built, you'll put 5 money here, and a port 10 money here. Ports are actually just cities, but they're unique in that they can only be placed on these port hexes, and they always have fish symbols on them, as well as a ship underneath. So ports are the same exact function as a city, but only ports can be placed on these hexes, and only ports can only go there. So those are exclusive hexes only for ports. Military is an action you can choose. This costs 5 money for every military unit you build. They must, unless a technology card tells you differently, they must be placed in a region where you have a city. They don't go in any particular hex. They kind of just occupy. Here's some military miniatures. You've got infantry and cavalry. So they'll just basically occupy some space here without blocking anything. They can just be moved over if someone wants to build a city or a town there. But they are in a region and they exert influence. Influence is what happens 3 times in the game. You'll do empire scoring. These cards are placed in each of the 4 decks based on what the rules say and starting in the startup. When they're revealed, because if a card, say, is taken and this card is the next card up, an empire scoring round will happen. You'll basically generate points based on how many cities and wonders, plus 3 for each region that you have a majority in. And majority is calculated simply by cities being worth 2, influence, towns being worth 1, wonders 2, and military units 1. So military units are basically mobile influence in the game. They can be moved. When you do the military action, you can build, and you can also spend 1 money to move a military unit to a different adjacent region if you want to move your military and take control of different areas. Okay, lastly, we have the governments. So governments can be purchased as long as you have these symbols already. These are the requirements. This is the cost in ideas. And then you'll acquire this government, and sometimes there'll be an immediate benefit, but mostly these are used to score extra points when you have an empire scoring round. Governments are scored during empire scoring. They also have a little function where there's a little arrow here. 1 time in the game you can flip this over and clear any one of these decks. Put them on the bottom and then deal out 5 new cards, and you're good. Scoring for the game. At the end of the game, there's going to be end of game scoring. We talked about empire scoring. These tiles here are end of game tiles. So you've got civilization achievements, golden ages, and wonders. When you build a wonder, you do place the wonder on the board, and it must be built in a region with one of your cities. But you'll also have unique ways to score for every wonder that you purchase. So for example, the Hanging Gardens, you get 3 points for every adjacent city, no matter who owns it, and you'll offset 3 unrest. So each one is unique. Wonders have that purpose. Golden Ages are very simply the first player to get to 6 of any particular pillar symbol will claim this Golden Age. You'll get this benefit and 6 points at the end of the game. And then Civilization Achievements are similar, but those are for just any different type of objective that you reach first. So in this case, it's the first person to have all 9 unique pillar symbols. You'll get 6 points at the end of the game and claim this tile. And those are scored at the end of the game. So that's pretty much everything. I'm sure there's a few items that I didn't cover, but that should get you going and be able to explain the game at Gen Con or any conference.